their internet connection. So first of all, a really, really warm welcome to you all. Thank you for coming along today. We're just going to give you 25 minutes or so. We'll work till 4:30. We're going to really focus on the shoulders and the neck, essentially. But I'm going to start you because I know you're all working hard at your desk probably most of the day. So it's been quite a low-key session, but we're going to start off with a hip flexor stretch. Hip flexors are here, and when you do a lot of seated work, they get all scrunched up. So it's a really nice opening for the hip flexors. I'll give you a couple of ways of doing them. So what I'll ask you to do, ladies and gents, is to come, probably best to come to all fours first of all. I'll just give you a moment to get there. And then when you get to all fours, you're going to bring one foot through. So one foot is on the floor. And you can come up here and put your hands on your upper thigh. Now, if you've got any issues with that back knee, then fold your mat or put a cushion underneath that back knee so it's supported. And once you're in posture, I'll give you an alternative for anyone who doesn't want to do this kneeling. Okay, so the front foot, make sure that the knee doesn't protrude forward of that ankle. And then you can send, maybe by putting your hands on the floor, send the back knee as far back as it's comfortable going. Okay, can be quite a strong stretch this. So hands on the upper thigh, the back knee is on the floor and the top of the foot is on the floor there. If you find it uncomfortable with the hands on the thigh, then just pop the hands on the floor to balance you there for a moment. And if that's all good, what you really want to do, think about, is just sinking the hips and the tailbone down. Okay, now if this is not comfortable for you, would you lie on your back? Bring the left knee in and stretch the right leg down onto the floor, and then that right leg, press it down to the floor as much as you can. Okay, so that's your alternative. Okay, we're going to hold it here. So what I'd like you to do is just breathe. It's not too much to ask. Just breathe, and we're going to hold it here for another minute. So wherever you're comfortable, fingertips on the floor or hands on the thigh. So we're just opening up the hip flexor on the leg that is trailing behind you. So if I just point that stretch out, it'll be in here. Okay, in this area is what we're looking for on that trailing back leg. So just keep breathing nice and deeply. Keep the shoulders as relaxed as you can. And keep the breaths nice and calm. And we're going to take 2 more breaths. And then when you're ready, put the hands on the floor if you can, and you're just going to bend the hips or bring the hips back towards that leg and change them over. So if you're lying on your back, change your legs over. Or if you need to go on your back this time, do that. So the front foot is on the floor, and we want to try and have as much of a right angle between the foot and the shin, so we don't get that kind of thing happening in the knee joint. And then wherever you're comfortable, remember, roll the mat to soften the cushioning for that knee if you need to. Your hands can be on the floor or on this upper thigh. And then once you're in position, I'm just going to ask you to sink, kind of just feel like you're sinking, like somebody's just got their hands on your glutes and they're just gently pressing you down a little if it's bearable for you. And we're just opening up this front hip flexor on that trailing leg. Okay, and we're going to hold it for about a minute, just over a minute now. So just breathing calmly. Hands on the floor if you want to. Sometimes it's just easier to balance with the hands on the floor. And just thinking about what you're feeling here. So just keep breathing, keep the focus on the breath. We're going to take about another 3 breaths. When you're ready, we're going to bring the hands onto the floor. We're just going to roll the hips back. Bring the feet through so you're back to that all fours position for a moment. And then I'm just going to ask you sit your bottom back towards the heels. So if you've done yoga, child's pose if you like. We're just going to take a deep breath in here. And then we're going to restack your spine. So leave the head down as long as you can and sit the bottom back to the heels, just gently restacking the spine bone by bone. And then we're going to come into seated and get to work on the neck and the shoulders. So as I said, you may be more comfortable sitting on a good thick cushion or two, okay? So if you're not used to or accustomed to sitting on the floor and you find it uncomfortable through the hips and the back, sit on a cushion. You can sit on a chair if you want to, that's absolutely fine. So if you know it's not for you, sit on a chair, maybe not something too comfortable, maybe more of a hard chair if you've got one. If you're sitting on cushions, make yourself comfortable, and then I'm going to ask you to maybe go cross-legged if that's okay. And if you're sitting on a cushion, we want a little bit more of an anterior tilt to the lower back. This is a posterior tilt. Okay, so we want to try and avoid that. And we want if you just think you're just pushing the tail back a little bit and the ribs come forward very, very slowly. Okay. And if you're sitting on a yoga block, sit towards the front edge of it, okay? So cross-legged, if that's okay. If that's not okay, you can have your legs bent, feet on the floor somewhere, and you can even put cushions under the backs of the knees so you don't have to hold the legs up, okay? So we're going to start just with, in a nice relaxed position for you. I think Louis did a little bit of breathing with you last week. So I thought just for a minute or so, we'd just practice, we call it square breathing. There's so many different breathing techniques. Square breathing is where you breathe in for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. You breathe out for 4 counts, and then you hold your breath for 4 counts. And the reason for doing square breathing, as in a square, you can just kind of visualize going 4, in for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and then start again. So if you want to trace that outline, it calms the central nervous system. So close your eyes if you want to. We're just going to do it for about a minute. So just start with a nice deep breath in and just take that breath in for 4 counts. And I'll let you do the counts, whatever works for you. And then you breathe out for 4 counts. And then you do nothing but a gentle hold of your breath for 4 counts. And repeat. So breathe in for 4. Breathe out for 4. Hold for 4. And repeat. So just do that one more time. In for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is bring your hand, link your fingers and press the palms of the hands away from you at shoulder height. So sit up nice and tall and press the palms of the hands away from you. If your wrists are tight and you just want to do it separate without linking the fingers, you can do that. So let's take a deep breath into the back of the ribs here. And then take the hands above the head. Let's press up here. Let's fill up the ribs with another deep breath in. And then bring your arms down. Okay, we're going to just do some rolls of the shoulders now. So I'm going to ask you to roll your shoulders slightly forward and then bring them right up to the ears. And then roll them back and down. So you roll them forward, up to the ears as high as you can go. Roll the shoulders back and down. So to breathe in as you bring the shoulders up towards the ears, and breathe out to roll them back and down. Let's keep going. And really take those breaths nice and slow. Make it work with your movement. This just helps to release tension through the shoulders and the neck. Okay, we're going to take those in reverse. So roll the shoulders back first, then bring them up towards the ears, bring them forward and down. So roll them back, up, forward and down. So as you roll them back and up, breathing in and then breathing out. We're just going to do 2 more. Okay, and just give your shoulders a little bit of a wiggle around. We're going to take the hands and place them on the shoulders. Okay, so now you're going to focus more on the elbows and the backs of your hands. Okay, so fingers really, really light on the shoulders because we're going to need to move them a little bit. Okay, so we're going to roll the elbows forward. You're going to take them up as high as you can. And as the elbows go behind your shoulder line, bring the back of the hands and press them together. So the backs of the hands or the wrists, press them. I know it feels weird. Put the back of the hands and the wrists together and then roll the elbows back and down. So if you have to take your hands off your shoulders to do that, that's fine. So we're going to bring the elbows forward. Then the backs of the hands and the wrists touching for a moment, and then roll the elbows back and down. Do your worst. So bring the elbows up, the backs of the hands and the wrists to touch, and take them back and down. Now I can feel this all the way through my back and shoulders, so you may well be feeling that. So backs of the wrists to touch if you can, or as close as possible, and take them back and down. So again, nice big breath in, backs of the wrists to touch, and bring it down. Let's do that in the opposite direction. So the elbows go back. You touch the back of the wrists together if you can, or the hands, and then roll the elbows forward and down. So breathe in, backs of the wrists touch, and bring it down. Again, breathing in, backs of the wrists to touch, and bring it down. And again. And then you can bring your arms down by your sides and just let's rotate the head gently from side to side. So keep your eyes at eye level, or your gaze at eye level if you like, and we're just going to rotate the head from side to side. So not pushing it, and as you rotate, try and keep the shoulders still. So we're not moving the shoulders with the head and the neck. Okay, and we'll come back to center. Just give the shoulders another roll if you want to. So we're going to just develop that rotation, and we're just going to work through these muscles of the neck. So I'm going to ask you to rotate your head to your right. So it's kind of like you're kind of gazing at your right shoulder. And then I want you to drop your gaze down as though you're looking for your armpit. And then drop your gaze down towards your lap, right at center. And then take your gaze across to your left armpit. And then to your left shoulder. And then your gaze up to eye level. So starting from your left, we drop our gaze to the left shoulder and then down to the armpit on the left. And then down to your lap. So you've got this little rolling movement as you roll the head round to the right armpit, the right shoulder, and then lift your gaze to eye level again. We're going to do that again. So breath in. As you breathe out, drop the gaze down towards the armpit, around the front. Try and keep the back straight as you roll around. Finish at your left shoulder with your gaze at eye level. And we're just going to head back to that right shoulder. So drop the gaze, roll down towards the lap and across, finishing at the right shoulder, and then come back to center. Put the hands on the floor behind you. I'll just do this sideways. So put the hands on the floor behind you and think about the sternum, the breastbone. What I'd like you to do is just gently lift the sternum up towards the ceiling, and as you lift the sternum, let the chin, let your gaze look up towards the ceiling too, just gently drawing the shoulders back. Feel as though you're just very slightly sliding your shoulder blades towards each other. We're going to hold it here for 3 breaths in and out. Drop your chin if your neck feels under pressure. So breath in. Really breathing into the front of the ribs and breathing out. 2 more breaths in and out. And then gently drop the chin down and come back up to center again. If you want to uncross your legs and cross them the other way, please feel free to do that in the name of balance. We're coming back to the neck and the shoulders. I'm going to ask you to take your right hand so that the head is resting in that soft inside of your arm, and place the fingers around about your ear. Okay, it can be either side of the ear or just behind the ear, but I want you to kind of cuddle that head and let it rest in that arm so it's really supported. Okay, and then relax this left shoulder, and we're going to gently draw the ear, the left ear, away from the left shoulder. Just until you feel the beginning of a stretch. Keep looking ahead of you. Okay, so just until you feel the beginning of that stretch. And we're just going to breathe nice and calmly. And then take the left arm out to the side, and we're going to raise it and lower it. So we're just working into these neck muscles. You probably feel them. Just raise and lower the arm. So as you lower the arm, that's when we're going to get a gentle little bit of lengthening of those muscles in the side of the neck and the shoulder. So just floating the arm up, letting it rest down. And then as it comes down, now let's just make some circles. So imagine you're just drawing about the size of a basketball with your fingers. Keep your gaze forward. Just go in one direction. We'll change direction in a moment. And then change direction. Keep breathing. And then rest that arm down. And then keep the head resting into that arm and let it come back up. And then take the hand away. And you will want to just rotate the head a few times. You maybe just want to roll the shoulders a few times as well. Let's do the other side. So we're going to rest the head into that arm. Take the hands so they're around the ear, either side of the ear or behind the ear, whatever works for you. You're looking ahead of you. That head is resting in that upper arm. I'm going to rest this other arm down by your side and then gently draw the ear away from the shoulder. Keep your gaze forward. You could probably feel this stretch, the side of the neck, and maybe into the top of the shoulders. And just breathe nice and calmly. And then we're just going to start to raise and lower this arm. So it's kind of floating. Just keep it quite moderate, just raising and then lowering. And it's the lowering part of the movement that will enable a little bit of a stretch. Some more lengthening into the neck and the shoulders. We're just going to do 2 more floats with these arms. And then keeping the head resting into that arm, we'll just slowly come back up, take it away, and let's roll those shoulders a few times. We're going to take a rotational stretch now. Am I allowed to run over by a few minutes? Come online, somebody, and tell me if I'm not allowed to run over. So Ruth, come online if you desperately need.
It'll be fine, Wendy. If anybody needs to go, if they've got something else, they can dip out. But yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thanks for that. Okay, so we're going to do a rotational stretch now. So I'm going to ask you to stretch out your right leg out front. It can be bent and you can support that leg with a cushion underneath it if you want to. Okay, so make it comfortable. And then this left leg, if you can, bring it across to the right. So the foot is on the floor. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the left hand onto this leg, around the shin and the leg, and we're going to take the right hand behind you. So we're holding onto this leg for a bit of leverage somewhere, maybe into that shin, and then the right hand's behind you. You're going to pull yourself around to your right. So the further around your right hand can go around the back of the body, great, because that will bring you into rotation. And then turn your upper body. So you're getting that lovely twist through the spine. Don't overdo it, please. And then we're going to hold it here for 3 breaths. So really breathe deep into those ribs. And then let that go. Well done, everyone. Come back to center. I'm going to switch those legs over. So the left leg straight out. Bring the foot onto the floor somewhere. Bend this other leg if you need to. And then we're going to take your left hand around the back of the floor, as far around as you can go. And then use the hand on this leg to draw you around. Okay? So we're just using this front leg as leverage. And then take your body into rotation. And we're going to hold for 3 long breaths, but really breathe deep into the ribs. So the head goes with you. Feel the breath opening up the ribs. And then gently come back into center. Okay, just put the hands on the floor behind you and just tap those legs out on the floor for a moment. We're going to do a fold forward and then an extension for the back. It's the back, the shoulders and the neck now. So if you have any neck issues, I want you to be really careful. Okay, be moderate. I'm going to do it sideways so you can see what's going on. So legs can be bent with the feet flat on the floor, or you can take cross-legged. It's entirely up to you. You're gonna feel this neck, shoulders, and through the back of the ribs, I expect, okay? So don't over-egg it. Hands behind the back of your head and neck. So lace the fingers. And then we're just going to sit up tall for a moment. And before we do anything else, I'd like you to press the head into the hands and the hands into the head and the neck. Your elbows will just be in your peripheral vision. So your gaze is forward. So just hold that for a moment. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just gently drop the chin. So take the pressure off the hands. So the hands are just resting on the back of the head and the neck. There's no hoiking with those hands. Okay, they're just resting there. And then just let your hips roll backwards a little bit. So just a little roll backwards. So you're just slumping a little bit in that lower back. And then from here, I'm going to ask you just to gently drop the chin down so you're looking into your lap. Your hips have rolled back a little bit. And it's just the weight of the hands on the head. You're not pushing any downward pressure on the head and the neck at all. It's just literally the hands are positioned there. So just hold it there for a moment, breathe in. And then as you breathe out, we're going to slowly lengthen back up. Bring your gaze up to eye level. And then take a little look up towards the ceiling. You won't be able to go too far. So ceiling above and in front of you. Take a breath in here. And then as you breathe out, gently drop the chin down. Let the hips roll backwards as before. And then we'll maybe see if we can come a little bit further forward. So the rib cage is coming down towards the hips. So no downward pressure on the head. It's just the hands carried there on the head. Take a breath in here. And then as you breathe out, we're going to slowly lengthen back up. So again, we're going to take your gaze slightly up to the ceiling there for a moment. Have a breath in. And then as you breathe out again, let that little slump happen in the lower back. We're just going to do this one more time. So fold forward over those legs. If you've got range of movement that allows you to come further forward comfortably, then feel free. Remember, don't press the hands onto the head. Just carry the weight of the hands. Take a breath in here. And then as you breathe out, slowly come all the way back up. And we're just going to look one more time up towards the ceiling. And you'll just feel that opening probably in the back of the ribs and the backs of the shoulders. Can be quite strong. And then come back to center. Bring the hands down. And let's just roll those shoulders a couple more times. I just want to finish with a really nice rotational movement for the lower spine. It's a really great way of just unlocking the spine a little. So for this one, you need to lie on the floor. You probably don't need your device. I can probably talk you through it. So if you lie down on the floor with your legs bent and your feet flat on the floor, take your arms out nice and wide at shoulder height and turn the palms of the hands upwards. And we're just going to bring the feet and the knees together and press the shoulders and the back into the floor. Keep the chin slightly nodded downwards. Use a little cushion if you need to. So I'm going to ask you to roll both legs, keep them stacked and roll them out to the right. Go about halfway towards the floor. Keep the shoulders on the floor. And then roll your knees back to center. Put the whole of the back on the floor again. And then roll the knees out to the opposite side. About halfway towards the floor. So if you can, use your breath out as you take your knees to the side, out to the side. And use your breath in to bring your knees back to center. Just keep the shoulders resting on the floor. And each time you come back to center with the knees, just flatten your back onto the floor. So just keep the breathing, try and work your breathing with the rhythm of the legs. Keep it nice and calm. So breathing out to the side and breathing in as you come to center. So this really works on rotation of the spine, and it lengthens, stretches, releases the muscles, especially around the lower and the mid back. And we'll just do 2 more of those on each side. So if you started on the right, finish on your left. And once you come back to center, let's just stretch those legs out fully and reach the arms back to the floor behind you. So have a really good stretch out through the arms and the legs for a moment. Take a couple of good long deep breaths in to the front of the ribs. And then bring your arms down by your sides. Just slowly roll over onto your side or come straight up to seated. Once you're in seated, let's just give those shoulders another roll or 2. Hopefully they feel a little bit freer. Have a little go with the neck. Just see how the neck feels. And then remember that square breathing. If you can't sleep or you just need to chill out, you breathe in for 4, you breathe out for 4, you hold your breath for 4. Special forces, all these people that have a lot of stress in their lives, they use that breathing method. So in for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, repeat. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope we have just switched you off for half an hour, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. That was absolutely great. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I certainly did after sitting at my desk for hours upon hours. So yeah, really good. Thank you. Hi, Louis. Yeah, really good. Wendy, are you involved in next week's workshop with us along with Louis as well?
Louis and I haven't talked about anything like that yet, but I'll leave it to Louis to get in touch.
All right, and I'll be back in touch, Wendy, for future classes. So thank you.
Thank you. Feel free to feedback, everyone. All feedback greatly appreciated. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, everyone.
Wendy.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.